Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello there. Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with Glenn Ambrose.
Good job.
Yeah.
I was going to do it for you this time.
I should have let you.
You should have. It's been a year. You finally got it right once or twice, and I'm very proud of you.
Yeah. Now that we should probably just stop now.
Yeah.
Now that we've reached perfection.
We did a year and 2 minutes, and we're good.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. The music kicks in. Oh. So today we are picking up where we left off in the last podcast. We are going to touch base on the second half of the topics that we covered in our first year. And this is where that like fake applause comes in. Yay! Wicked good. That's the New England fake applause. Wicked good.
Oh, all right.
So what? After that, you know what? I need to say this. I don't know why, but when I moved up from Florida, and my son was, I think he was like 2.5, and he looks at me one day, and he said something, and he says, "Wicked good." And I had been in Florida for 10 years. I grew up in northern Mass, but I had been in Florida for 10 years and put a little bit of effort into getting rid of my accent because I got made fun of a lot. So when he said that, it was just like, oh, my God, I have a New England kid. It was like this really big blast of reality that just hit me in the face.
Anybody who's ever heard you say "Welcome to the podcast" is really wondering how bad the accent was before now.
Oh my God! In my hometown, the accent is thick. Oh, it's like it's almost equivalent to being raised in Southie,
Nice.
where outside of Boston. I mean, it's
Great
it's
area.
Really, it's thick, and then have I mentioned that it's thick?
Dave, get us back on track. What number are we starting with?
Lucky number 13.
Yeehaw!
Fear.
Ooh.
Because in life there are two core emotions. One is love, and the other is fear. There it was.
There it be. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, fear, that was a big one. That everything stems from love and fear. You know, it's a real simplified way to make decisions. You know, we either make our decisions based out of fear or based out of love. And, based out of fear, basically, little by little, it's going to make our lives worse. And if we make our decisions based out of self-love and love for others, for that matter, it's going to enhance our lives. It's that one is like I refer to spiritual laws and basic truths that underlie everything, and that's one of them. That is such a core issue. You could create an entire belief system if you just took that one episode and you applied it absolutely in every area of your life that you possibly could think of. Your life would get better tenfold. I mean, just that would be enough. It's such a strong basis for a healthy reality.
I just realized that one of my favorite inspiring songs, show tunes, asks the question in the middle of it, fear or love.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it puts it exactly the same way that you did. That's whatever.
What
Dave,
is it?
It's called Louder Than Words from a show called Tick, Tick, Boom.
Ah.
It's this really big, like, uplifting song at the end, and the chorus is fear or love, don't say the answer, actions speak louder than words.
There you go.
So anyway,
And then he died.
yeah, and then he died. It's about
don't give away the ending. I haven't seen the movie.
There will never be a movie for that.
No.
Number 14, balance.
That's all about skateboarding.
Yeah. It was a weird one, but it was informative. Moving on.
What's the description I've got there?
We all struggle to find a balance in our lives. What does it really mean? What does it look like? How can we achieve this? What is reasonable? Today we try to find these answers and more.
Yeah, that's...
Sounds like a very vague Ben description.
Yeah, Glenn, do you read the descriptions to the podcast when they come out
2 weeks after
on
we recorded
Sundays?
it?
Yeah, I usually read them. I've missed a few.
And do they sum up the show to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean,
They're mostly written by Ben 2 weeks after we recorded them.
Yeah, well, all it is to kind of, spark somebody's attention. Hopefully they're going to listen to it.
Yeah.
I mean, but...
I think we're peering back the curtain too much, guys.
Yeah, we are.
yeah, really.
It's not like I wrote the last two that we did through, like, speak to text while driving home on an iPhone.
Oh, that makes
didn't
me
happen.
feel confident. Now,
What? I don't know what I'm talking about. That
Yeah.
didn't happen.
well, as far as the balance goes, basically, that we were touching on how to understand what balance looks like, that it looks different at different times of your life, that it's not 33% of three different things. It's sometimes, your family takes up 90%, and sometimes your work takes up only 10%, but it's to shift that back into perspective once a situation is passed, not just to live unconsciously and keep riding out of balance.
That's right. That is what that was about. I completely forgot.
Wow.
I really thought that it was about skateboarding.
Well, we couldn't get Rob Deerdeck here, so
No idea who that is.
He's a skateboarder. He's got his own shows and stuff on TV. Pretty funny guy. But anywho,
I think that's just a bunch of ridiculousness.
oh, that's the name of Rob's show.
Should we move on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this one, I don't know why I was a guest on this one, because it doesn't really make sense to me, but it's turning negatives into positives.
I know, Mr. Sunshine.
Yeah, I don't
positivity.
understand. I don't know what I could have contributed to that. I mean, seriously, I don't think I could have
Sometimes you're just on to be the,
opposing view.
yeah.
Well, that's it. But that's what, we all have to identify with the situation if we hope to come out of it. The first thing we got to do is connect with where we are. That's why I try to do that when I work with people, and to some degree with this podcast, is you meet people where they are. That's why I talk about my past so much. It's because I've been through all this stuff. I've been there. I've been depressed. I've been suicidal. I've been to all these dark places and have come out of them. That's why I feel confident that I can speak to them. And it's getting that other perspective, and people go, "Oh yeah, I felt like that," or "Oh yeah, I thought like that." That's where they need to connect, and then you can bring them out of it. But if we just come in here with sunshine and my friend says something like puppy dog ears or something, all this wonderfulness all the time. It's like, if you're not there, it's hard to connect with that. So we need to start with where people are and show them the way out.
And that's why I don't help people. Because I've never had a bad thought or feeling. I'm enlightened.
Yeah, right.
I have achieved Buddha.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Zen. What's the next one, Dave?
The next one was what to share and who to share it with.
Ooh.
Everything with everyone at all times.
Definitely not.
Son of
I just mentioned this one to somebody the other day, that it's, that's an important one. That's an important life lesson. I think it's because, it's difficult to have a happy, healthy existence when you're frustrated and building resentments with your friends and family that are in your life. So just that episode itself, knowing who to share what with, can help you have healthy relationships in your inner circle. Because if you stop and pause for a minute and say, okay, this person is wonderful, I love going out with them and having fun with them, and they're such a good friend, and boy, when I'm feeling down, nothing makes me feel better than to go hang out with this person. But they can't be trusted with my personal stuff because they're just too open and free, and they have no filter. They'll just say whatever to anyone. So I'm not going to, share my intimate details with them. However, boy, I really love having them in my life for this reason, and just getting a realistic perspective. But, people will tend to, and some people are fun to hang out with, are the best people to share deep secrets with. Sometimes they're not. You have to look at that person and make that determination. Otherwise, you're just going to be getting frustrated and building resentments against people for them just acting like the person that they are. If they are a type of person that's going to blab everything with everyone, then don't share your stuff with them. And if you do that with the different people in your life, you're going to have a lot less frustration and resentments built up towards people.
Very good.
So there. I knocked that one out of the park.
Number 17, self-work.
All work is self-work.
Oh, Ben just remembered.
I didn't remember. I'm enlightened.
Oh,
man.
So, like I said, Ben just remembered.
I have been transcended through this podcast.
Wow. I didn't know it was that good.
I don't know. It's probably not.
Self-work. Yeah, that's another good one. Well, I'm going to think, it just dawned on me, and hopefully I said this in the last podcast too. I'm going to like all of these topics because that's why we're doing the shows on them. I'm looking at
I hated that one.
Oh, this is a good one.
That was horrible.
Ooh, this is a good. Yeah, well, of course they're good ones to me. I think they're good ones because I'm talking about the stuff I think is important.
Maybe the episode wasn't the best. Like maybe Dave was on instead of me.
Oh.
I wasn't on that one, I don't think. I was on the next two after that, though.
I'm kidding anyway.
Ben was making sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. This is the brief.
For the homeless?
No.
Oh.
Well, sometimes I think.
The unwashed masses, for sure.
I'm not sure what that means.
It's okay. Self-work, though.
Self-work, yeah. And all work is self-work. If you get that you can enhance your life and change situations that are going on in your life by working on yourself instead of changing the circumstances around you, that is big. It is. I mean, if just, they say if you've got one finger pointing out at somebody else, you've got 3 pointing back at you. Maybe 4 if you count the thumb and you curl it in.
Okay. All right.
But so it's all about doing the inside work. If you do the work on yourself, it's like I had a resentment towards somebody, which I noticed like shortly after one of these shows were coming up on soon. And I picked up the phone and I called and I apologized. And as soon as I apologized, whatever they had done to me, it didn't bother me. I didn't care if they apologized or they didn't apologize. It didn't matter. It had no emotional charge to it because I had cleaned my side of the street. And as soon as I did that, it took the emotional charge out of it. So, it doesn't matter. And that's hard to see until you experience it. But if you keep doing the work on yourself and leaving everybody else alone, eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to see your life is getting better. And then through your own experience, you can be like, oh, okay. So this is how my reality is changed by me working on myself. Because you can't see it sitting in a problem. When you're sitting in a problem and somebody's done something to you, and I come along and go, hey, all you got to do is work on yourself. You're like, no, this was done to me. You don't understand, But once you do the self-work and you get on the other side of it, And then you look back, you go, oh, okay. So I don't necessarily understand how it worked, but it worked. I feel better about that situation, and that person didn't do anything to fix it. I just worked on myself, and now I feel better. And sometimes when I still have to remind myself of that. And sometimes I still don't understand how it works, to be honest with you. It's just, I just know it does, so I do it. And
it sounds like this topic is a good catalyst for all of the other topics that we cover, because everything else that we cover is ways to work on yourself, I guess.
Good point.
Thanks. Dave?
Number 18, don't be a victim. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I was on this one. As I said, I'm on this one and the next one.
Yeah, don't be a victim. That's
Why
good.
do these things always happen to me? That's what we talked about, why we ask ourselves that.
We got good feedback on the shows that Dave hosted. People preferred him. People that I spoke to preferred him more than your normal co-host.
Really?
Mainly my mom.
Yeah. I was going to say, they must be somebody really close to you, because nobody that's got you at arm's length would admit that to your face.
No, I liked this one, listening to it, not being there for the recording. I really liked it. And
yeah, we're going to have to do that so I can try it sometime. Like you guys do a podcast.
I don't think that's going to work.
And then I just sit. Well, I guess I could just listen to you guys' podcast.
That show is called The Sky is Falling, and it is a lot more negative.
Yeah. Hence the name.
Hence it not being releasing new episodes.
For the last 4 months.
Yeah. We just wallowing.
What's the next one, Dave?
Okay. Well, that's that.
Don't be a victim of your podcast.
Yeah.
Guys.
Okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, don't be a victim. That's just about, it's about doing the self work. Instead of pointing the finger out, looking inside and coming from a place of empowerment. If you just sit there saying the world did this to me, did that to me, you're never going to get out of it, because it takes the control out of your hands, because the world is keeping you down and you can't control the world, so therefore you're just going to stay down. So if you stop being the victim and start trying to see, okay, what can I do, instead of what's the world doing to me, and looking at it from a perspective of things are happening for me, things aren't happening to me. If you start looking at it from that perspective, that's another huge shift.
I'm pretty sure this next one was the last one we recorded in the old office. This was also me, and I remember Glenn saying that he appreciated having me on this one because it was finding yourself. Who are you? What makes you happy? What are you passionate about?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was good, because you had found your passion very early on in life.
Right.
So it was nice to get that perspective. Especially because, like I said, a lot of this stuff I've experienced in my life and come out the other side or shifted my thinking, so I can speak of it. But finding my passion, I did do that, but it took me a really long time. So to have somebody that knew what their passion was at a very early age was definitely helpful for that.
What's funny about that episode is that, Dave, I think that ironically, like 3 weeks after you recorded that, like you kind of got to this point where you got a little down on yourself, and everything that you had said in that episode about finding yourself were the answers to his own question. Like, he had gotten upset, and I just used the podcast. I was like, oh man, this is what you just said about this.
Yeah. Well, and
I do that all the time too with the podcast. Like, I'll get into a funk of some sort, and then I'll end up re-listening to the podcast because, we record them a couple weeks beforehand. I'll end up listening to the podcast and going, oh, I just talked myself out of this, whatever this thought process is that I'm going through.
Yeah, and that's why one of the reasons why I love doing this work so much. It's because, I mean, yes, okay, I have an opportunity to help others, but as long as I'm talking about healthy things, it's reminding myself of healthy things. I guarantee you, if I just sat and didn't work with other people, didn't record this podcast, didn't read any self-help or spiritual books, didn't meditate, if I stepped away from that stuff and just allowed myself to get caught up in my day-to-day busy life, I mean, I'd be no. Oh my God, I just had a flash of what I'd be. It really ain't good. I would be a mess inside of 6 months. But it's, so just, it helps me to keep this stuff, the healthy thinking in the forefront of my mind, because as you just mentioned, it's very easy for us to slip into a negative way of thinking or fall back into an old way of thinking. It's very easy to do that. I have to remind myself of this stuff regularly. Because, we've got a whole society and way of being and the way we were raised and the things we were taught. All that stuff plays a part in the way we think. And, if we just don't put any effort towards it, towards reminding ourselves of this healthy stuff, then we fall back into it, into the negative parts.
Number 20, not much to discuss here because it was talking about the Life Enhancement Center.
That's an awesome place, I've heard.
Kind of ties in. You found your passion. You got to get to the point where you have your own space and you have a place where people can come.
Yeah, and that's something I'm grateful for regularly. Oh, it's that, I mean, little things, having my living space upstairs and being able to work down there. It gives me so many opportunities to offer so many things and to be there for people when they need me and to be able to take care of my son, and that place is definitely a gift, So come check it out if you haven't been there yet. It's 2076 Nooseneck Hill Road in Coventry, Rhode Island, 02816.
I think it's a great way to, because it happened about 10 months into the podcast, and I think that it's a great way for you to physically show that kind of the message of every episode of the podcast is do the work. You know what I mean? Like, we've established that, like, the goal is to be happy, and that and that all work is self-work, and that this is the specific way to help you in this situation, and that, if you do the work, results will come. And I think that, you showing that you doing your work in a certain way has yielded results for you, and the fact that you're able to get this goal that you wanted, and that the podcast listeners are able to see that, and
they're going on a journey with me.
They're going on the journey with you, and that's kind of inspiring too.
Yeah, and it's exciting because there is a certain aspect of that, and I've thought about that for years. There's times in my life where I go, oh, my success isn't happening fast enough. I think like that. Oh, I want this, I want that. I want to be in a better financial situation. I want to be able to, go on a safari in Africa next year. And that ain't happening, unless things change. So I'm not in a financial position that I want to be in, and I want to experience different things. And, so all those negative thoughts pop up, but it's nice hitting these milestones and these goals where I do see the work that I do on myself enhancing my life. And now I get to give a place for other people to enhance theirs on a physical, mental, and spiritual level. That, somebody was like, they like, one of my friends likes a lot of the things that I'm doing there, and she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna be hanging out here like all the time, And I was like, well, what do you think's gonna happen if you hang out at a life enhancement center all the time? Your life is probably gonna enhance. is worse things, you know? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Definitely.
So I guess we found something to talk about on that.
So the next two are a big one, and Glenn mentioned it earlier. Forgiveness, part 1 and 2.
Whenever I hear that word, I just want to
Forgiveness.
break out.
Yeah.
I want to break out with the Don Henley tune. Yeah, forgiveness. You got to have it. You know, you can't walk around harboring resentments towards people and expect to be happy. It's, you know, that's a big one. And understanding that the forgiveness is not about the other person, but it's about yourself. Once you get that, then that usually opens up the door to giving you the ability to actually forgive. You know, as long as you're walking around thinking that forgiveness is about the other person, well, then just by default, you're mad at them. You have a resentment. You don't think they deserve forgiveness, so why would you forgive? You know, so understanding that the forgiveness is about you and the process takes place within you, then it's not about that person that you have the resentment against. Then you can start working on actually forgiving and in turn enhancing your life.
And I think 23 and 24, Dave, were they also a two-parter?
Nope.
Really?
Nope. 23.
Thanks for playing, Ben.
I know. I'm so off.
23 was New Year's resolutions. We were just talking about resolutions. Why do we make them? Why do so many of them fail? What can we do to make sure we actually keep our resolutions? It was our end of the year special. End of the calendar year special.
Yes. Yeah, that one was good too, because it's you know, I was kind of thinking as I was saying that. Yeah, it's a lot of people make those resolutions, and they obviously make them at the new year, but they make them, you know, we should be trying to make changes to better our lives regularly. You know, so the things that are touched on in that episode can be used at any time. Anytime you'd like to make a change to better your life.
Number 24 I really enjoyed. I was on this one as well with Ben. This was the moment of change.
So that one was about menopause.
Oh my God. Glenn Ambrose,
Okay.
moment killer.
Okay, no, it wasn't. Yeah, that one was about what does it look like when change is occurring? Like, does it happen with the white flash and holy crap, my life is different, or is it more of a learned thing over time where we gradually shift? And we discussed that there's both. You know, there's both, but usually the big lightning bolt kind come out of severe pain. So that's not usually the way to go.
It's not usually the one you want to.
No, and if you're, you know, the other aspect of that's very true is it comes out of it comes out of tremendous pain that you are unconsciously inflicting on yourself.
Yeah.
So if you consciously say, I'm going to feel enough pain until I shift, it's not going to happen because you're consciously inflicting the pain upon yourself. You know, you have to be unconsciously inflicting the pain upon yourself. You have to not know that there's another way. If you know there's another way and you think that you're just going to beat yourself down enough to make yourself pop open, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because it's self-induced, you know? So you have free will. Free will block one of those lightning bolt changes. So, you know, you can't just beat yourself into a bloody pulp enough to wake up because it's just self-induced. So, yeah. So go to the healthy kind and, you know, try to work on your life and try to make positive changes. It's worth it.
And the last one before the episodes that we're on right now is number 25. Allow yourself to be the person you're becoming.
Yeah, and that's such good timing for me with going through all the changes, opening up the new space. It's, that was perfect timing. Because that's right where I was, and I think I'm starting to come out the other side of it now. But that's exactly what I've been working on, really trying to get used to the adjustments of being this business owner and my new role in my new life and stuff. So as I talk my way through it, hopefully I can help you guys and find your way through the same thing. And if you're going to do all this work, make sure you give yourself the benefits by becoming the person you're working so hard to be.
Grow a beard.
I have a question. Now that we've gone through everything, Glenn, did you ever think that in your life you would have a place where you would speak for a half an hour every 2 weeks and orate? Did you ever think you would end up here?
No.
How does it feel to know that you have this now? Because I think it's cool that you're able to come in here and speak for 30 minutes off the cuff, and you make a lot of sense. You speak very well. You speak very descriptive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're very good at doing this. Did you ever think in your wildest dreams that you'd end up here?
No, and it wasn't until I opened up to my passion and I stopped letting fear rule me when I started getting to this point. Because public speaking was the only thing that I would admit that I was scared of when I was younger. Yeah. I used to walk around pretending I wasn't scared of anything when I was scared of everything. But the one thing I would admit was public speaking. So, to overcome that and to just, to come in here with absolutely nothing prepared and just put myself out there. And it's all positive stuff. Oh, yeah. When I was, for 20 years of my life, I was not a positive person. At all. I was destructive. People didn't want to be around me because I was so negative. So it's to get to this point, it's amazing. And it feels really good.
You know what? Even 2 years ago, the first time you and Dave ever met each other, he had a camera to film just like a 2-second talking piece with you at Anytime Fitness, and you could not do it without being extremely anxious. So this is crazy. This is a big, long way for you. Yeah,
and you said, hey, can you, will you do that? And I was like, oh, well, I'm petrified, but absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I'm not going to let fear stop me. And if, worst case scenario, I have a tough day. See, like when I look back on that day, the way my brain processes it, it was like, okay, well, that day, the fear was a little bit too much for me to handle, and I couldn't completely break through to the other side. But I chipped away at it. And I didn't let it stop me. So therefore, it lost some of its power. I was willing to make a complete fool out of myself rather than live in that fear. And it was a stepping stone, just like I've had many little stepping stones. There's many times when I got up to speak and I got completely tongue-tied, my face got beet red. I remember one time I was visibly shaking and sweating, talking, and my voice was breaking all over the place. And I walked around for 2 weeks completely embarrassed. But it helped me because I didn't let the fear stop me, so.
I have a quick question for both of you. Favorite episode? Do you have one?
This one.
Oh, that was...
What a cop-out answer, Dave.
I know it was a cop-out answer, but it was like the best one. I was like, oh, now I can't do that.
You can say the first one.
The first one, it has the most listens. No, that's my favorite.
Definitely. The first one, I even listened to that a little while ago, and I was like, ooh, yeah, you could tell that was the first one. There was more ums and ahs, and there was a little bit of nerves there, too. So, definitely not the first one, although I like the topic. of unhappiness. So, but I don't know. No, honestly, I think you heard me as I went through these. Ooh, I like that one. Ooh, I like that one.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of those, you know, whatever's shiniest at the moment captures my attention.
My favorite one isn't really a topic. Although I did like that second one that Dave was on, about six episodes back.
Finding yourself?
Yeah, Finding Yourself. That was one of my favorites. But my favorite moment in the year that we've been doing the podcast is it's an episode, it's an early-ish episode with Dave and I both on, and we could not stop laughing.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the... We had to stop recording because we were laughing so hard.
Every episode that we've done has been one take of a 30-minute conversation. We've never had to stop. We've never had to do any of that stuff. But this one time, we could not... Usually the second episode that we do in a recording session is a little crazier. But this was ridiculous.
Yeah.
We couldn't stop
and
it.
It was the first one, and the second one was kind of mellow because we're so emotionally exhausted from laughing our butts off on the first one. Yeah.
It was you talking about sitting in crap. You were trying to do a metaphor about sitting in a pile of crap.
Go well?
And it's warm. That's what you said.
Yeah.
And it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Sitting in your own crap.
It is.
And we were like, what are you talking about? That was good.
I don't know why you guys didn't completely identify with that. Well, I don't know why that was so out in left field.
All right, we're running way over, so let's wrap this up.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. And
what a great year!
It was an awesome year. 2014 was a lot of work, and it was great. 2015 is wow. I'm very excited for it because of what I saw in 2014. 2015 is going to be amazing. So thanks everybody for listening, and spread the word. You know, let's get some more listeners. Get some good food out there instead of watching the news or listening to the news. Listen to this. Your life is gonna enhance more listening to this than listening to the 16 murders that happened over the last month. You know, so thanks for listening, and we look forward to another year.
This podcast is presented by New Short Productions. Executive producers Glenn Ambrose, Benjamin Barber, and David DeAngelis.